It's num-num time.
If you think breastfeeding is simple and trouble-free, think again.
Gotta make sure mama's comfortable.
Trish Taylor breastfeeds her baby, Dwayne Taylor III. They call him D3 for short.
You gotta eat the num-nums.
Taylor's living room is chock full of devices and supplements that help her breastfeed successfully.
I pumped with this last night. I take these daily. I drink my tea daily. I pump after every feeding. I weigh him at least once a day to see how he's growing. These are things that I have to use regularly.
Taylor also uses disposable nursing pads, creams, you name it.
Of course, this stuff isn't convenient. Of course, it gets annoying. Sometimes you want to pull your hair out. But at the end of the day, my son and I are building a really strong bond, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says Taylor is on the right track. The agency recommends that all babies be exclusively breastfed for the first 6 months. On average, however, California women aren't coming close to that goal. In fact, surveys show the rate of exclusive breastfeeding takes a big dive when babies hit the 3-month mark. That's about the time when many women have to return to work.
Yeah, we have a meeting here, so I'll pump there.
Christine Vaughn came back to her job at Cal State San Marcos when her daughter Kenzie was 3.5 months old. Kenzie is now 8 months old, and Vaughn is still breastfeeding her. Vaughn says pumping her milk on the job requires a lot of work. The night before, she has to clean and pack up her equipment, and she has to remember to bring it to the office the next day.
And then really pumping begins well before I actually even get to work. What's the last time I fed my daughter in the morning is usually a big indicator of when I'm going to pump when I'm here.
When it's time to pump, she grabs her special bag and goes upstairs to a private room. Vaughn ends up pumping about every 2 to 3 hours. Sometimes she has to juggle her schedule to make it happen. California law requires employers to provide lactating women a reasonable amount of break time to pump and a private space to do it in. It's tough enough for women to pump their breast milk at an office, but what about when they're traveling? Talk about a hassle. Fortunately, California law requires all major airports to have lactation rooms.
This is our Terminal 2 lactation room for nursing mothers who would be traveling. Inside we have soft lighting as well as decor that's very gentle, calming and soothing, everything that a nursing mother would need when they are traveling.
Spokeswoman Rebecca Bloomfield says there are 3 lactation rooms at San Diego International Airport. She says with 20 million passengers coming through every year, the rooms are an important amenity. If it sounds like California is a paradise for working moms who nurse, keep this in mind. Employers can refuse to provide pumping breaks and a private space if they determine it would seriously disrupt their operations.
Heart rate sounds good. I don't hear any murmurs.
Dr. Nancy White is a neonatologist and co-founder of the San Diego County Breastfeeding Coalition.
And the milk supply, how's that coming?
It's awesome.
She says by and large, it's the smaller employers that opt out.
For example, it's very hard to replace somebody for a 20-minute or 30-minute break to pump if you're on an assembly line. And so, unfortunately, the very women and babies who can most benefit from human milk are the ones that don't tend to get it because it's too hard to work it into the system.
And then there are people who are uncomfortable with women breastfeeding in public. A recent nationwide survey from the CDC found 13% of respondents were against the practice.
Some people don't believe it's natural, they believe it's nasty, and I've had congressmen tell me, well, I don't pee in public, so why should you breastfeed in public? I don't think the two are equivalent, but I can't get that across to some people.
Turn on the pump.
That doesn't faze Christine Vaughn. She's planning to breastfeed her daughter Kenzie for at least a year.
The hope would be that as a mom, as an employee, that you're able to reach the goal you set for yourself. And I think when moms are unable to do that, it's very hard. It's hard because in some way you almost feel like you're failing as a mother, and that's a hard place to be.
Kenny Goldberg, KPBS News.